Hey guys, I just want to make a bit of a follow-up video on my bad DMT trip report and just clear a bit of misconceptions I may have given you guys and go a little bit more in depth on DMT and the pineal gland. This video was definitely inspired by DMT Myths, which is a video made by Swim, which is PsychedSubstance's second channel. So yeah, go check that out. I'm a huge fan of Adam's work and just what he's doing for the psychedelic community is absolutely unreal. So yeah man, keep doing what you're doing. He was a bit frustrated and heated in this video, understandably, because there's a lot of shit misconceptions out there on the internet about people claiming all these scientific facts about DMT, like, you know, our pineal gland produces it and it's responsible for birth and death process, and that DMT is responsible for dreaming and out-of-body experiences and lucid dreaming, things like that, when none of these things have actually been scientifically proven. And not once in the video did Adam say that none of these things are true or false, and he even said that the pineal gland probably does produce DMT. It just hasn't been scientifically proven, which a lot of people are claiming that it is. And like Adam, I don't cling on to what's scientifically true right now, because like he says in the video, science is always changing, right? It's always contradicting itself. It's always evolving. So what was scientifically true 100 years ago seems pretty ridiculous to us now, and what makes you think that 100 years from now is not going to be the same thing? Just let me go on record by saying as well, believe it or not, that by nature I'm actually very scientifically rational minded, and I think with logic, right? It's only really been these past couple years that I've opened myself up more to this spiritual side of life, and this is because of my direct experiences. And when I found out that the only way you can get real truth is through direct experience, not from reading words on a paper. Because don't get me wrong, science is an amazing tool, one of my favorite tools to use, but it is just that, a tool. Just like a hammer is a great tool, you're not going to use it for every single situation in life. There are going to be some times when you're going to need different tools, like a screwdriver or pliers or a wrench or a drill, something like that. Because science is great for objectively measuring things in this physical world, all right, using our five senses. As you all know, there's a lot more to life than this physical world. I mean, for one, objectivity is just one side of the coin. There's also subjectivity. You can't cut open the human brain and find thoughts and memories and emotion and sounds and stuff like that. You're just going to find physical structures like neurons and the limbic system and the amygdala and the medulla and all these kind of things, right? And there's a lot of purists out there who think that just because something hasn't been scientifically proven, that it's not even worth for discussion. And you just got to think that like, let's say lucid dreaming, for example, that just got scientifically proven in the mid-70s. In the mid-70s, even though it's been known for fucking ever. And all these purists out there used to think of lucid dreaming as, oh, it's all mysticism and voodoo and pseudoscience, right? And all they had to do is actually try it for themselves, and they would have empirically proven it for themselves. But they were too stubborn and closed-minded, right? They're just waiting for scientific literature to tell them what's true or not. So all I'm saying is just be careful. Yes, use science, right? I love science and I use it as a guide map, but just don't cling on to it as your entire worldview. That's all I'm saying, because science is always behind. That's the thing, because of the fact that it can only objectively measure things, right, in this physical world. Because there are a lot of these spiritual teachings that are thousands upon thousands of years old that science is just now proving. You get me? And I'm not just saying, oh, believe anything that, you know, an old spiritual text says. Of course not. It's being dogmatic. I'm just saying, go by your experience, use your logic and reasoning, but don't just look at purely at science and what it has to tell you about the world, because there's a lot of things that it hasn't discovered yet, and science is still at its infancy stage as well. All right? So I'm sure in the future that science will probably be able to prove like astral projection and probably measure all these invisible forces that we can't exactly measure yet. I mean, electricity used to be considered magic back in the day because it was an invisible force. But yeah, anyways, I'm going way too much on a tangent. Back to DMT. This brings me to my apology, because in my DMT trip report, I claimed that it was a scientific fact that we produce DMT during birth and death. And to my defense, I genuinely thought it was a scientific fact, because I actually read it in The Spirit Molecule, which is a book written by Dr. Rick Strassman, right? And I reread that section yesterday, and there was a sentence just before that long paragraph going on about all these DMT theories, right? And it goes something like, oh, the general hypothesis on DMT goes something like this, and then it goes into it. So yeah, my bad, guys. I obviously missed that part or forgot about it completely. So yeah, guys, I apologize again for giving you guys these false scientific claims. So I'm very careful of what I say, scientifically true or not. But that being said, like in this video and in future videos, I am going to claim that the pineal gland does produce DMT because I'm almost certain that it does. I mean, there's a lot of scientific evidence combined with spiritual teachings and observations that the pineal gland does produce DMT. But I will never say that it's a scientific fact until it is, alright? I just want to get that on record. Now, the pineal gland is so interesting, man. It's like this little pea-sized gland in the center of your brain that has a very rich metaphysical history. Descartes believed it to be the seat of the soul. And Dr. Rick Strassman believed that the pineal gland producing endogenous DMT is responsible for a lot of these psychedelic states, such as death, birth, near-death, psychosis, and mystical experiences. And like in the book, he says that the pineal gland has the necessary building blocks for producing DMT. For example, the pineal gland has the highest amount of serotonin anywhere in the body, and that it has the ability to convert serotonin to tryptamine, which is a critical step for DMT formation. And you've got to think as well that there are all these unique enzymes that convert serotonin, melatonin, tryptamine to all these psychedelic compounds that are present in an extraordinarily high amount in the pineal gland. And there have been scientific studies finding that the pineal gland of rats produce DMT. And yeah, I get just because a rat produces DMT doesn't necessarily mean that we do. Like, I get it, but like, come on, man. There's like all these scientific data, and there's still people who are just against that idea, and they're like, oh, that's correlation without causation, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I get that you need skeptics, and I'm not saying to believe anything you hear, but like, man, there's a lot of overwhelming evidence, and I guess we just got to wait until they do human studies, right? And they measure it in our pineal gland. And I do believe we'll see it in our lifetime, especially with just technology growing at this exponential rate. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Oh, and I also wanted to discuss DMT and the dreaming state. Adam goes onto the video and gets very annoyed that people say that lucid dreaming and astral projection and the DMT experience are one and the same, and they're like the same thing. And this is ridiculous because it's completely different. Like he says, DMT is like shooting you out of a cannon. You're going through layers of dimensions, but it's very hard to bring pieces back into this physical reality. Whereas lucid dreaming is like you can actually remember. It's almost like, from my experience anyway, it feels like you're just going up that one dimension. And I understand that you can train yourself probably to go higher, but it's a lot easier to remember the experience and bring back information. Whereas DMT is just like, you just see shit that's out of this world, right? So he makes a very, very, very interesting point. And, I've always believed that DMT is somewhat responsible for dreaming. And it could be, because I want to challenge the idea that just because, lucid dreaming and the DMT experience are two separate experiences, right? They're completely different. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're two completely separate chemicals, right? Because what brings me to this hypothesis is just through my psilocybin experiences. I mean, you take a very low psilocybin dose and compare it to a very high one, completely different experience. It's like a new drug altogether, right? And even if you take synthesized crystal DMT and compare that to ayahuasca, even these are completely different experiences. And yeah, I get that ayahuasca has different alkaloids, which plays a big factor, and that at least these two substances share some similarities, like very little, but still, like visually, there's some overlapping. Whereas the lucid dreaming experience and the full-blown DMT experience shares almost no similarities. And yeah, and Adam never did claim that DMT is not at all responsible for dreaming, but he just doubts it just because of he's had a lot of experiences with lucid dreaming and like sleep paralysis and stuff like that. So yeah, I get it, and it's very annoying how people say that these are the same experiences, and it brings me to question: have these guys even smoked DMT, or maybe they've just smoked a little bit and not had the breakthrough experience? But yeah, like maybe, just maybe, when you're dreaming, it just slow releases small amounts of DMT, whereas when you smoke it, you're just having a huge amount in such a short period of time, which is why it just shoots you up. Maybe, like, I don't know, I'm just bringing this up for discussion. Or maybe dreaming is produced by some unknown chemical that we haven't even discovered yet. So yeah, that's the thing, guys. Like, science knows fuck all about DMT and the pineal gland and even consciousness. So there's a lot to learn, and it's just one of those things we've got to wait and see. And all we can really do now is be your own scientist, right? Go have your own experiences. That's the only way you're going to find access to truth. And yeah, I get it's very hard to directly experience and know for a fact which physical chemical is responsible for dreaming and astral projection, all that kind of stuff. So we actually need some sort of a lab for that, I suppose, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not arguing with anyone. I just want to bring this up for discussion, bring more to the table, right? Because the pineal gland is fucking interesting as, man, and so is DMT. It's just mind-blowing. And there's just so much to learn, and it's exciting, right? It's exciting where science is going to go. But like Nikola Tesla said, as soon as science starts to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than it has in its entire existence. But yeah, guys, that's me. Let us know what you thought in the comment section. And do you think that the pineal gland produces DMT? Do you think that DMT is any way at all related to the dreaming experience? Let us know. But until then, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.